Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're trying to get behind the curtain a bit with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, so much talk about it.
Exactly. We want to look at what it really is, and especially how something like, ChatGPT manages to talk like it does. It seems almost alive sometimes.
Right, but it's important to understand the mechanics. So, AI, artificial intelligence, it's a huge field.
It is. But at its core, we're talking about computers doing tasks that, well, usually need human smarts.
That's the gist. Tasks like recognizing images, understanding language, making decisions. But crucially, how it does this is very different from us.
Okay, different how. So when we say it's intelligent, it's not. It doesn't have thoughts or consciousness bubbling away inside.
Not at all. No consciousness, no feelings. Its intelligence comes from finding patterns, massive, massive amounts of patterns in data.
Patterns in data, right.
It works on statistics, really.
Right.
Probabilities, not understand like you or I understand things.
So it's less actual thinking and
Yeah.
more like super sophisticated mimicry. Like, imagine showing a computer millions of pictures, right?
Mhm.
Some say cat, some say dog, and it just looks at them all.
Exactly. And after seeing enough, it starts to figure out the common features. Pixel patterns that usually mean cat, others that mean dog.
Ah, okay. So no one tells it dogs have floppy ears, cats have pointy ears
Mhm.
necessarily.
Not explicitly. It learns those associations from the examples. It sees thousands of labeled dog pictures, thousands of cat pictures, and it finds the statistical correlations itself.
It figures out the likelihood. So if you give it a new picture, it makes a highly educated guess based on everything it's seen.
You've got it. It's like a super fast guesser, and the more examples you feed it, the better its guesses become.
Okay, that makes sense for AI generally. Learning from examples, getting good at guessing based on patterns.
Right. It's prediction based on past data.
So let's zoom in on ChatGPT then,
Got
because that's the one that really feels
it.
different. The language aspect is just stunning. What is it within the AI world?
So, ChatGPT is a specific kind, a type of AI called a large language model, or LLM. And its specialty is, well, language, understanding text, generating text.
And it learned this how? By reading
So, pretty
everything.
much, not literally everything, but an unimaginable amount of text from the internet, books, articles, just vast quantities of human writing.
More than any person could ever read in like a million lifetimes.
Easily. And by processing all that text, it learned the patterns of language, how words typically follow each other, sentence structures, context.
Okay, but you said earlier AI doesn't understand. That seems like a contradiction when ChatGPT can hold a conversation. How does it manage that without real understanding?
That's the absolute crucial point. It doesn't understand in the human sense. Think of it maybe like an incredible advanced parrot.
A parrot.
Yeah, one that's heard billions of sentences. It hasn't understood the meaning behind them, but it's learned the statistical patterns of which word is likely to come next.
So it's brilliant pattern matching for words.
Yeah.
If I ask it, say, why is the sky blue?
Oh,
It's not
cute.
thinking about physics.
No, not at all. It doesn't access a memory of the sky is blue because of Rayleigh scattering.
Right.
Instead, it's processed countless texts where that question, or similar ones, appeared. It knows that after why is the sky blue, statistically common words might be because of the atmosphere, scattering, light.
And it just strings together the most probable sequence based on everything it's read.
Exactly that. It constructs the answer word by word based purely on the statistical likelihood learned from its training data.
Okay, I think I'm getting it. It's assembling probable sentences, not retrieving knowledge. So how does that assembly actually work, like mechanically?
Okay, imagine it has like a giant box of word blocks. Billions of them.
Word blocks, okay.
When you give it a prompt, like your question, it takes those starting words. Then it looks at all its patterns and asks, essentially, given these words, what's the most likely next word?
And it picks one.
It picks one based on probability. Then it adds that word to the sequence and asks again. Okay, now with this sequence, what's the most likely next word?
And it just keeps going, word after word after word.
That's the process. It builds the sentence or paragraph incrementally, always predicting the next most statistically likely word based on the sequence so far.
That's fascinating. So it's not just copying sentences it's seen, it's actually generating new ones.
Yes, that's key. It generates novel combinations based on the learned patterns. It's knitting together words in ways it might not have seen verbatim before, but that fit the statistical model.
Which explains why sometimes, you ask it the same thing twice and get slightly different answers.
Precisely. Because at each step, there isn't always one single best word. There might be several very probable options.
Uh,
So there's a bit of, let's call it controlled randomness thrown in, like rolling a tiny weighted dice at each step.
okay. So it might pick the second or third most likely word sometimes.
Exactly. Which gives the responses variety and makes them feel less robotic. It's like a storyteller improvising slightly each time they tell a tale.
Right? That makes a lot of sense. It's predicting, but with a little wiggle room.
So this sophisticated word, predictor, it sounds so human sometimes, which leads to the big question, can it actually think? Does it feel anything?
And the answer very clearly is no. Absolutely not.
Right.
This is probably the biggest misconception.
Okay, so zero thoughts, zero beliefs, zero emotions.
Zero. It's not alive. It's not conscious or sentient. It doesn't have personal experiences or memories or opinions. It's a machine executing complex calculations.
But it can say things that sound like opinions or feelings.
It can generate text that mimics human expressions of opinion or feeling because it learned those patterns from the text data it was trained on. If humans write about feelings, the AI learns how those words go together.
So it's reflecting the patterns in human language about feelings, not having the feelings itself.
Perfectly put. It's
Yeah.
just incredibly good at arranging words and sequences that we as humans interpret as coherent thought or even emotion.
You had that analogy before, the smoothie made of all the words on the internet. Yeah, I think that helps sometimes. It's all blended together, information, styles, even simulated emotions from the text it learned from. But the smoothie itself isn't alive, doesn't know anything.
It's a compilation, a statistical reflection, not a consciousness.
That's the fundamental distinction. It's a tool, an incredibly powerful language manipulation tool, but it's not a mind.
Okay, great. So let's just quickly pull that together then. AI generally is about computers learning patterns from data to make predictions or guesses. Super fast guessers.
Right, learning from examples without explicit rules.
And ChatGPT is a specific AI, a language model, that's learned the patterns of human text by processing, well, a huge amount of it.
An enormous amount.
And it generates responses by predicting the next most likely word, step by step, building sentences based on those probabilities.
With a touch of randomness for variety.
And this is the big one, it doesn't think, feel, understand, or believe anything. It's just exceptionally good at mimicking human language patterns.
That's the core takeaway. Understanding that it's sophisticated pattern matching, not actual cognition, is key.
It really does change how you look at it, doesn't it? When you understand the mechanism, it stops being, I don't know, spooky AI magic.
Exactly, and becomes an impressive feat of engineering and statistics, which
Yeah.
is still amazing, just different.
Yeah, amazing in a different way. Knowing how it works helps you use it better and maybe think more clearly about its limits, too.
Absolutely. And as these technologies become even more integrated into our lives, that clear understanding is going to be more important than ever. It allows for a much more informed conversation about AI's role.
A really important point to end on. So keep asking questions, everyone. Keep digging into how things work, especially these powerful new technologies. Understanding is the first step.
Well said. There's always more to learn.